I want to ask you something personal, something most people don't stop to think about until it's too late. Have you ever had a day where you were constantly busy doing task after task, running errands, answering messages, taking care of things, only to reach the end of the day and feel like you accomplished absolutely nothing? That kind of emptiness can wear you down. And the scariest part? You can feel that way for months, even years. You're not lazy. You're not undisciplined. You're not lacking ambition. But you might be lacking something far more dangerous: clarity. In this video, I'll show you a powerful shift that changed my life and the lives of thousands of people I've mentored over the last few decades. A shift from drifting to leading, from reacting to creating, and most importantly, from hoping things will get better, to designing a future so strong that it pulls you forward with certainty. You're going to learn how to take back control of your life through something that seems simple, but that almost no one does well: planning. And I don't mean the superficial kind of planning where you jot down a few tasks and check them off like groceries. I mean deep planning, visionary planning, the kind that connects your day-to-day efforts with your highest goals and long-term success. Let me be honest, your future is already in motion, right now. Every hour you spend, every choice you make, every small habit you follow, they're all forming the blueprint of what's coming. And if you don't take control of that process, someone else will. When I was young, I used to blame circumstances. My family, my job, the economy. I worked hard, really hard. I hustled, but I wasn't getting ahead. The problem wasn't effort. The problem was direction. I was chopping down trees in the wrong forest. One day I sat down, frustrated and tired, and I asked myself, what if my life is happening exactly as I've designed it by not designing it? That question hit me like a brick, because the truth was, I wasn't designing anything. I was reacting. And that's where most people live their entire lives, reacting. Paying bills, answering calls, fixing problems, but never stepping back to ask, is this taking me where I really want to go? Here's what I discovered. Planning is not about perfection. It's about direction. And the moment you take full responsibility for your direction, everything changes. You stop being pulled by pressure and you start being pulled by purpose. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through a mental framework that I call the vision anchor. It's a simple but powerful idea that will show you how to clarify your future, lock it into your mind, and reverse engineer your days to make it happen. This isn't just productivity, it's destiny by design. If you feel like time is slipping through your fingers, if you're constantly busy but rarely fulfilled, if you've tried goals, planners, apps, journals, but still feel off track, don't worry. That's not your fault. You were taught to plan the wrong way. But today we start fresh. You'll learn how to set a vision so compelling that it makes waking up exciting again. You'll learn how to break down that vision into actions you can actually take this week, not someday, not when things calm down, but now. And most of all, you'll learn how to build the kind of discipline that sticks, not because you force yourself, but because you finally know why you're doing what you're doing. Let me make this promise to you. If you follow what I'm about to teach, you'll never waste another year of your life again. You'll never wonder where the time went, because you'll be the one telling time where to go. Let's begin. Every minute that passes without a clear plan is like money slipping through your fingers, only worse. Because while money can be earned again, time is irrecoverable. The people I've met who felt stuck, burned out, or lost were almost always operating without a clear, written plan for their life. They were busy, yes, hustling, working hard, putting in long hours, but without a compass, without a destination. They were simply spinning in place, mistaking motion for progress. I've lived that chapter. There was a time I said yes to everything, every opportunity, every meeting, every request, because I thought that's what success looked like, being constantly in motion. I was constantly working, but I never felt in control. Until one day, someone asked me a question that changed my life forever. They said, Brian, if you continue on this path, where will you be in 5 years? And I couldn't answer. That terrified me. From that day forward, I promised myself this: I would never again start a day without a plan. I would never again confuse busyness with effectiveness. That's when I developed what I now call the Planning Power Hour. It's 1 hour, either in the morning or the night before, dedicated entirely to designing the next day with intention. Not just filling it with tasks, but aligning every action with the future I wanted to create. Let me show you something that I've taught thousands of people around the world, from CEOs to college students: the law of forced efficiency. It states, there is never enough time to do everything, but there is always enough time to do the most important thing. And what is the most important thing? It's whatever gets you closer to your biggest goal, period. But how can you know what that one thing is unless your future is clear? You can't. That's why most people waste years. They spend energy chasing urgent tasks, emails, errands, interruptions without ever stopping to ask, is this helping me build the life I want? That's what today is about. Helping you flip that switch in your mind from reactive to strategic, from surviving to designing. Start by defining what I call your major definite purpose. This is your North Star. It's the one result that if you achieved it would make everything else easier or unnecessary. It could be building a successful business, becoming financially independent, or achieving a level of health and vitality you've always dreamed of. Whatever it is, write it down. Make it vivid. Be specific. Your brain loves clarity. It feeds on it. Then, take that goal and reverse engineer it into monthly milestones. Break those into weekly actions. Then daily commitments. Suddenly your day isn't filled with randomness. It's filled with purpose. You're no longer working for the sake of working. You're working in alignment. Every task becomes a step forward, not just an item checked off. Think about how empowering that is. When you wake up each morning knowing exactly what to do, why it matters, and how it brings you closer to your dream, everything changes. Your energy rises. Your confidence grows. You stop being overwhelmed because you're no longer pulled in 10 directions. You're laser focused. Here's a simple truth I've discovered after decades of teaching this. People don't lack time. They lack clarity. And clarity comes from planning. You wouldn't build a house without a blueprint. You wouldn't go on a road trip without a map. So why live your one precious life without a plan? You have the power to choose, to decide that today is the day you stop living on autopilot, to become the architect of your time, not its victim. All it takes is one decision, one written plan, one shift in mindset. Let's make it now. What you focus on today either strengthens or weakens the foundation of your future. Let me share with you something that transformed my thinking early in my career. The concept of compounding decisions. Just like money compounds over time, so do your daily actions and habits. If you spend the day reacting, procrastinating, or drifting without intention, you're not just losing 24 hours, you're building a weaker version of tomorrow. But when you act strategically, when you plan and execute today with purpose, you're laying bricks that will hold the weight of your biggest dreams. I learned this when I was broke, living paycheck to paycheck, drowning in frustration. I couldn't understand why I felt so stuck. But one day I sat down with a mentor who asked me one question that shattered my illusions. What exactly did you do yesterday that moved you closer to your goals? I paused. I had no answer. That silence became my wake-up call. Most people overestimate what they can achieve in a week and underestimate what they can achieve in a year with consistent daily planning. The problem isn't the lack of time, it's the absence of a clear structure. A life plan doesn't need to be a 100-page manual. It can start with one sheet of paper, one vision, one habit. Here's a method I use to this day. I call it the 1 to 3 5 system. Every morning, identify one major outcome, 3 important tasks, and 5 quick wins. The major outcome is the domino that knocks down others. The 3 important tasks are progress builders. The 5 quick wins are confidence builders. You start your day in control, and by evening, you feel powerful instead of depleted. Try this tomorrow. You'll be shocked how much momentum you generate. Planning today also means knowing what to say no to. Discipline isn't just about doing more, it's about doing less of what doesn't matter. If your calendar is filled with other people's priorities, your future will be built around someone else's life. Take back your schedule. Protect your mornings like your life depends on it, because it does. Remember, every goal you set must be anchored in why. Without a compelling reason, you will find a compelling excuse. Dig deeper than superficial desires. Don't just say you want to make more money. Ask yourself why. Is it freedom? Is it providing for your children? Is it retiring your parents? That emotional fuel is what turns plans into action. In my workshops, I often guide people through an exercise I call future reflection. I ask them to close their eyes and imagine themselves 10 years older. What do they look like? Where do they live? Who are they surrounded by? And then I ask, what decisions did that future version of you make today to create that life? The answers are always powerful because they come from within. You don't need to see the whole staircase. Just take the first 3 steps, but take them with absolute clarity. Write down your goals. Break them into daily rituals. Track your progress, measure your results, and adjust along the way. Planning is not about perfection, it's about alignment. Realignment, constant course correction. And if you stay on the path, the destination takes care of itself. So ask yourself now, what does your ideal future look like? What do you need to do today to become that person? Who do you need to stop being? What do you need to let go of? What are you afraid of starting? Write these questions down. Stare at them. Reflect deeply. And then plan like your future depends on it. Because it does. 1707, 07, 06, 2025, Vinicius. And here's another thing I've learned over the years. The best plans are the ones that are lived. not shelved, not idealized, but executed day after day with discipline and intention. People ask me all the time, Brian, what's the difference between someone who talks about changing their life and someone who actually does it? And I always tell them it's not intelligence, it's not luck, it's not even resources. It's clarity and the willingness to live out a plan that aligns with it. You see, most people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 10. That's why they jump from one thing to another, constantly distracted, endlessly busy, always feeling behind, because they've never anchored their daily actions to a meaningful vision of the future. But once you do that, everything changes. You no longer waste energy trying to do everything. You focus your energy doing the right things. And that's how momentum is built, not from scattered effort, but from strategic repetition of what matters. Every hour of your day is a brick. You are either building your dream life or reinforcing a prison of mediocrity. And the thing about bricks, you don't notice them stacking up until it's too late. Suddenly, you look around and realize your life is either a fortress of purpose or a wall of regret. It's why I tell people your future doesn't begin someday. It begins now. The plan you commit to today is either a bridge to your dreams or a road to disappointment. And let's be honest, there's a kind of silent despair that comes from living below your potential. It doesn't scream, it whispers. You feel it when you hit snooze on your alarm again, when you avoid the hard conversation, when you scroll aimlessly instead of building something meaningful. But the same energy you use to avoid your life is the energy you can redirect to transform it. The cost of your future isn't money, it's intention and consistency. One of my clients once said something that stuck with me. He told me, Brian, I always thought planning would make my life smaller, more rigid. But now I realize it actually makes my life bigger. It gives me space to breathe, to create, to move with confidence. And he was right. When you live without a plan, every decision feels heavy. You're constantly improvising, constantly uncertain. But with a clear plan, you move lighter. You wake up with direction. You fall asleep with peace. Let me remind you, your plan doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours. It has to reflect your values, your goals, your timing. And yes, it can evolve. Plans aren't prisons. They're promises you make to the future version of yourself. And every day you follow through, you make that version stronger, more real, closer. That's what gives life meaning, not just dreaming, but designing your days with purpose. Think about your last week. Were your actions aligned with your aspirations, or were you just reacting to the noise of the world? If your calendar was public, would it show a person committed to growth or someone drifting through survival? Your calendar doesn't lie. It exposes your priorities. And if you don't like what it says, don't panic. Just start making it honest. Because once your days reflect who you really want to become, you stop living two lives. The one in your mind and the one in your habits. They merge. And that's where your power lives, not in who you wish to be, but in who you show up as day after day, moment by moment. I've lived this. I've taught this. I've watched lives transform through it. 1708, 07, 06 to 2025. Vinicius. Have you ever noticed that most people spend more time planning their summer vacation than they do planning their future? It's a sad irony. They'll research hotels, check the weather, plan every meal, even down to what they'll pack weeks in advance. But when it comes to their own lives, something far more important, most people just wing it. They drift, they react, they survive, but they don't design. I learned a long time ago that if you don't have a plan, you'll become part of someone else's. And that someone else rarely has your best interest at heart. Your boss has a plan for your time. The government has a plan for your taxes. Advertisers have a plan for your attention. If you're not directing your own life, you're being directed. Period. This is why the daily habit of planning is not optional. It's essential. I've made it a sacred part of my routine. Every evening I take 15 minutes, just 15, and I write down exactly what I want to accomplish the next day. I prioritize it. I look at it again in the morning. I recenter myself. This small act creates a force field of intentionality around me. I no longer walk into my day wondering what's going to happen. I decide. The act of writing it down is critical. Don't just think about what you want. Don't leave it swirling in your head. Write it. Because when you write something down, you take it from the realm of wishful thinking into the realm of commitment. You give it weight. You give it shape. You make it real. And I've noticed something magical happens when I do this consistently. The fog of confusion lifts. Distractions become more obvious and easier to say no to. Opportunities become clearer and easier to say yes to. And more importantly, I begin to trust myself more. When I tell myself, this is the plan, and then I follow through on it, I build integrity with myself. That self-trust becomes momentum. It becomes quiet confidence. Some people tell me they don't have time to plan. That's like saying you don't have time to put fuel in your car because you're too busy driving. You can't afford not to plan. Every minute spent in planning saves you 10 in execution. That's not motivational fluff. That's a rule of efficiency. I've seen it hold true again and again for CEOs, entrepreneurs, athletes, students. It's universal. Now let's take this a step further. Don't just plan your day, plan your life. Where do you want to be in 5 years? Not where you hope to be, where you intend to be. What will your income be? Your relationships, your health, your sense of peace. Clarity demands specifics. You can't hit a target you can't see. One of the most powerful things I've ever done is sit down with a blank notebook and answer the question, what does my ideal day look like hour by hour? Try it. You might be surprised how far your current life is from that vision. But that awareness, that's your leverage. Once you know the gap, you can start building the bridge. And remember, you don't need a perfect plan. You just need a plan. And you need to work it daily. Plans can evolve. They should, but you need something to anchor your actions. You need a lighthouse to navigate toward, especially when life gets stormy. Let me leave you with a practical challenge today. Tonight, before you go to bed, take a sheet of paper and write down your top 5 goals for tomorrow. Rank them. Don't go to sleep until you know exactly what your next day will look like. Then watch how your morning feels. Watch how your confidence rises. Watch how your life begins to bend in your favor, one planned day at a time.